Here at the team hotel with the West Indies coach, Andre Coley. Andre, thank you very much for your time. I know it's a bit of a hectic schedule, but on home soil now after a tour of England, you're back on the horse almost straight away. How are you and the team feeling?
We're in good spirits, back on familiar soil, as you said before, familiar territory. We had a few days to recover from being in England and flying back home. So we're ready to go.
Important series, as most series are, if not all of them, against South Africa now, who the West Indies haven't had a great record against them. How significant is this for the team?
It is significant. On the back of losing the series in England, it's important for us to win here, to stay on track in terms of the goals that we had set for the Test Championship. So it is really important, and you would really want to take whatever home advantage that's available to give ourselves the best chance of having a successful series.
Injuries and all of that on the recent tour of England, a couple of new faces in this squad. Tell us a little bit about Brian Charles and what you expect from him, and Casey Carty, who's coming into the Test team for the first time.
Brian Charles has been a constant player for the Trinidad and Tobago team in first-class cricket. With the injury to Kevin Sinclair, we thought that he was the best option. He gives us that off-spin variety. Casey Carty, on previous A-team tours would have been earmarked as a successor for the number 3 role in the future. He currently holds that position or performs number 3 role in the ODI side, and I think it makes sense in terms of the role that we expect him to play at number 3, and because those conversations have been had before, and he's currently at that level, we believe it's just a sideway slide into that position.
Some familiar faces also coming back, Jomel Warwick and Kemar Roach. How ready do you think they will be?
Jomel has always kept himself in good shape. I know Craig has always been very adamant about having the best spinners available to him. But obviously Moti, being given an opportunity in the last 12 to 18 months, has really cemented himself in that position. So having Brian as the off-spin option and Warwick as next best spinner helps us to cover the spin options.
An elevation of sorts for someone like Joshua Da Silva, who is now vice-captain for this series in the absence of Alzarri Joseph. Speak to those two for me. Yeah,
well, Alzarri been rested. Obviously, he's had a heavy workload from Australia. Then he went straight across to the IPL. Then he went to the T20 World Cup, and then he had 3 Test matches on the trot in England. It's been a lot for him. And Joshua has also been earmarked for some kind of leadership role. Him being vice captain on previous A-team tours as well. So we're trying to make as many of our decisions more of a succession and seamless transition. He obviously becomes the obvious choice. Experience and growing in his own right, and that's one of the reasons why he would have been given that opportunity on 3 A-team tours so far to get that opportunity to lead a diverse team, and so he becomes a logical choice in the absence of Alzarri.
He seemed to be one of the, I suppose, successes of the tour of England. It was a tough tour for the team from a results point of view. What are the positive things that you've taken from it?
From the tour itself, albeit for too many runs, we've consistently bowled out the opposition, which is always something that within a specified period of time, we have always set ourselves as a target. I think Kavim Hodge continues to improve. 2 Test series now, he's been involved in significant partnerships. If you think back to the 2nd Test in Australia, he himself and Joshua were really pivotal in posting 150. And some of us, I suppose, would have forgotten the fact that we were able to have a lead to bowl at. And then we eventually won that. And then in the second test against England, he was also instrumental, also bringing up his maiden 100. You know, so he's growing steadily. He's also someone that we would have invested in from A team from South Africa previously. So I'm pretty happy where that is concerned. Another thing we pride ourselves on was the catching behind the wicket, which we were quite good before. You know, we put down a couple in England, but we're really looking to re-establish that kind of dominance and superior approach to it. And then Shamar continues to learn. His first tour of England, you know, created a few opportunities, but also learned from it. He himself not having a significant body of work leading into that, obviously coming straight from the T20 World Cup. Mikhail Louis, on the back of a consistent first-class season, was given the opportunity. And for the most part, he settled in. His level of intent that he's shown, you know, around the application at role. Obviously, he has more to learn the more he plays. You know, good to see Joshua as a keeper and coming into some kind of form. Obviously, Jaden was named our player of the series by England coach. And he himself, good to see him back fit and playing. I think there was some concern around him coming back from injury, having the workload of county cricket and then still being able to do that. But he's been able to withstand all of that and still be able to, you know, have been a viable option for us. We could take an opportunity.
You've got a test match here in Trinidad and you've got a test match in Guyana. With the unique nature of those two facilities, how do you approach that? It's really about having the options available to us. As you said, we haven't played a lot of test cricket in Guyana. We played a test match here a year ago. So it's really to have the players in the best possible shape, have the options of spin and pace when available, so that when the final decision is made, we know how we want to operate. But we definitely also want to ensure that we have a clear picture of what the surfaces will offer. And what do you expect of the fans then? West Indies fans have been pining for success across formats. What do you hope? What if you had to speak to them? What would you say to them?
I know a lot have been asked about, you know, from our West Indian fans and public, and we keep encouraging fans to come out and so on. I'll reiterate the same message. Keep supporting the fact that we have a young emerging side, and we haven't had it all our way. Well, we have seen glimpses of what most of the players can do, if not all. And they would definitely benefit, the team itself would definitely benefit from that kind of support in the stands. So it really just for me to encourage and ask the West Indian fan and spectator to continue to give the support as best as you possibly can, because I do believe that the present group of players will benefit immensely from it.
In the job, full-time head coach for what, just
a year,
over a
just
year
a
now?
year, a year, yes.
How has it gone for you with everything in the full picture?
It's been interesting in the sense where you don't play a lot of test cricket. What's been good for us is having had A-team opportunities. We should have had one recently against South Africa, which was postponed, and by all indications will potentially happen next year. You know, so it's really about planning with a high-performance team how we can actually get more cricket for our players, how we could potentially have development opportunities for them. In terms of results, at this level, results what counts. With the exception of the one test match and the draw against India, we have pretty much lost most of the other matches. But what I'm happy about is we have seen some improvement in a number of players. We have had a few new players come in and shown what they're capable of. So for me, it's about, and I understand the concerns. I understand, and the way I internalize a lot of what is said about performance and from fans, etc. For me, it's just really about people being passionate and wanting to see West Indies do well, and it's not something I take personally. It's just people articulating, fans, supporters articulating their personal opinions and views. But I'm excited that in the next 12 months I have another year on this present contract. I'm happy that one of the things I've been happy about is that we've been able to communicate, a lot more communication around roles, who's likely to play, etc. If we can actually use that to our advantage going forward the next 12 months, we're likely to have a more settled team. That's been a challenge for me, to have a settled core of players, to be able to have some momentum and so on. But yeah, I've enjoyed every moment of it, the highs, the lows, the different challenges that it has posed. I'm looking forward to the next 12 months.
So that has caused you to grow as a coach?
For sure. It's not only about player development, it's also about staff development, it's also about planning. We're in a new dispensation where we now have 2 head coaches, and that alone brings us out challenges in terms of, you know, as you could imagine, both coaches, Darren and myself, you know, who want a settled group of players to be able to pick from and help to move forward. That is going to be a challenge going forward. We have to make sure that we continue those conversations, and for players who are cross-format, to ensure that we're on the same page, and if we can't agree, I mean, as close as possible, to ensure that all the formats have our best players. So yeah, you know, it's, as we say in the Caribbean, you also need to grow, and anywhere else, you know, at this level, a head coach of an international team, it is really about not taking things personal, being open to criticism, being accessible, but then also having a thick shell as well, to be able to focus on the job at hand, in spite of the challenges.
And you've always been one, and this goes back years, to seek models and templates and knowledge from outside of the game. You recently had a little experience of going to Manchester City. What about that impressed you, and what are the things that you've learned from that experience of visiting that facility?
I was wowed just by going through the main entrance, and I actually visited the training facility, not the main ground, and I was wowed. At first thing I saw was just facilities. I can only imagine as a player how you would feel walking into that environment. You want to practice the fields, the different supporting elements. I know as a coach walking into that environment, hey, you really want to just roll your sleeves up and get going. And then also just having a sit down with some of the staff at that Man City facility, and discussing, you know, high performance, their outlook on high performance, how it's done, the different roles that different people play, and accountability, etc. And then just pretty much just, you know, I would say the tentacles that go out to support that. Yeah, it was really interesting to. I always find, and whenever I go to a new place, I always try to find something. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience, man.
Andre, thank you very much for your time as always, and we wish you all the very best in the upcoming series.
Thank you, Bish.
Thank you.